Good morning, everyone. I'm Alex Prince, who has no idea what he's doing with his life, coming at you live with a new Sandersides theory video. Except this isn't live. And it's not really a theory video. In case any of you missed it, Thomas and crew released a little teaser trailer sneak peek sort of thing for the next Sandersides video at the end of the latest bloopers video. We're leaving that in there. If you haven't watched it yet, I'll leave a link down in the description. I highly recommend it, not just for the trailer, but for the bloops. It's a pretty good video.
I got it right here!
And just as a warning, it's probably pretty obvious. I hope it's pretty obvious, but I am going to be discussing the trailer in this video. So if you want to go into the next Sandersides episode completely blind, I would suggest leaving and coming back later after the video is out. Also, any speculation I make is going to be based solely on what the public knows. I'm a member of Thomas's channel, but I will not be giving any information out. And while we're on the topic, other members do not deliberately spoil anything for non-members. Not only are we literally paying for this information, but Thomas and crew are trusting us with it, and I want absolutely nothing to do with the intentional breach of that trust. If I catch any comment saying, oh, Thomas said this in the members only live stream, or Joan said that, I will delete it. This is your only warning. Now, onto the fun stuff. The trailer opens on a brief recap of selfishness versus selflessness, stating that the wedding and the callback are both on April 13th, followed by a few quotes from the episode, and ending with Roman sentencing Thomas to one day at the St. Clifford's Chapel on the day of Mary Lee's wedding. It then cuts to April 13th, where we see Thomas kick in the door with fury, mirroring the shot at the beginning of selfishness versus selflessness. There's no dialogue, only 8-bitty music and shots of some video games and Pat and Roman, until the very end of the video, the trailer, whatever it's called, where Thomas goes, "What the b***ing, everybody?" It's short, but I'm really surprised to see how much there is to analyze. And I'm really excited too. So, let's get this going. But first, short little plug, my Patreon, Redbubble, and Etsy are all down in the description. If you're interested in anything like that, please go check them out, because I would really love your support so I can keep making videos like this. Okay, please and thank you. So, let's start on the old stuff. I think the choice of quotes is something we should definitely be paying attention to. Out of the, 40-ish minutes of content from that episode, why choose those lines specifically? Some are obviously needed to set up the episode, such as the callback and the wedding being on the same day, but there's one bit that doesn't quite fit with the others.
Nobody's perfect. Yeah, except for Thomas. He loves his friend. I want to go to the callback.
The trailer could have done its job of setting up the episode without that, and that is something that interests me. Putting those two lines next to each other really shines light on the fact that Thomas really believes that he would be a bad person if he went to the callback. Now, on to the new stuff, the juicy bits. No! No! We open on a shot of Thomas kicking in the front door, donning a full suit and a fury for the ages. I get the feeling that this dashes all of our hopes that Thomas would change his mind and go to the callback instead. And judging by that growl, I would say that something probably not great happened at the wedding. The next thing we get is a Pokemon-style battle opening thing. What? I don't know what I just said. Between Thomas and a silhouetted figure. This has sparked a lot of speculation on who that could be. I've seen a lot of fanboys thinking that, oh, it's another side, maybe it's Deceit, or maybe it's Orange. But I personally don't believe it to be. Why? The hair. The hairs. I'm getting mine cut today and I'm so excited to. That isn't Thomas's hair at all. I know it could be a hat, but what has to that look like Coconut Head from Nez Declassified? Maybe it is Coconut Head from Nez Declassified. That was a joke. I know, Coconut Head would never appear in Sandersides. We all know it would be Gordy. Okay, but seriously. Most likely, this is someone that Thomas runs into at the wedding. It could be Lee or Mary Lee, it could be that old friend that Thomas talked about and learning new things about ourselves, it could be some character that we haven't met yet. My first thought, though? Thomas's ex. He's the only character that we've seen with long hair. I know that the style might be different, but maybe it's from the art style, or maybe the dude got a different haircut. Honestly, I don't think it would be that much of a stretch to imagine that Lee and Mary Lee are mutual friends of them. Leaving that in. I'm leaving that in. And seeing how stressed out everyone is in the trailer, I wouldn't be all that surprised. Also, there's one last thing that caught my attention. Well, it doesn't really fit, but I'm gonna read straight off the screen for this because that's comedy. The style of the game that they chose is from Gen 3 of Pokemon, Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. Maybe it's a hidden reference to the Steven Universe couple, Ruby and Sapphire, who formed to make Garnet. Whether it's for the wedding itself or for Thomas potentially running into his ex, I think that'd be pretty neat. Or maybe it's a metaphor, as this was the generation that introduced Pokemon contests and he's going to have to make an appeal and compete with someone else for something. Or maybe it's to foreshadow a parallel to May or Haruka, depending on whether you watch the sub or the dub, one of the protagonists of that gen's anime, starting off her journey thinking that she was aiming for one goal, which she wasn't quite content with, being a Pokemon trainer, and ending up finding her place in something that she loved, being a coordinator. But I do realize that me catching that is most likely because my autistic ass has had Pokemon for main special interest for 13 years and counting now, so I'm not holding my breath on that being intentional. The next shot we get is another one that I've seen a lot of fanboys freaking out about. Patent screaming. Now again, my autistic ass is really bad at figuring out body language, so bear with me if any of these observations are horribly off. It's a really short shot, but it does pack a punch, seeing our happy pappy papa Patton appear so pained. Some people have said that they think that Patton is just as furious as Thomas with whatever is happening, since he is the core of Thomas's emotions. Others think that he's covering his ears to block out something that he really doesn't want to hear. Maybe if the ex is at the wedding, he said or did something really upsetting and Patton is screaming over that. Or it's possible that Thomas and crew are trying to throw us off by using a shot of something that's being super exaggerated for comedy.
You killed him! That bitch! Joan!
But hey, where's the fun in speculating over that? After that, we get a shot of Thomas sitting alone at a table checking his phone in the style of something? I'm not really familiar with that style, so I have no idea if it's from a game or if it's something original. Whatever the case, I think the most glaring problem with this shot is that he's alone. Where is everyone? Is he staying way late for some reason? Did he arrive early? Is it just a coincidence or an artistic choice to not have anyone else there? I saw someone, I can't remember who it was, and I'm so sorry, I will post a link down to the post in the comments as soon as I find out who it was, speculate that Thomas might have gotten the date wrong and ended up missing the callback for nothing. He could be checking his phone for the time or for messages from anyone else that was supposed to be there. More likely, or at least more likely in my mind, son, can you go away? More likely, or at least more likely in my mind, Thomas pulling out his phone is in reference to him saying in the last episode that he was planning on playing Word Crush on his phone during the ceremony. Even though this appears to be at the reception, I wouldn't be surprised if he was trying to keep to himself there too, especially if he's miserable and doesn't want to be there. I mean, I do the same thing with Solitaire. We get another punch in the gut scene right after that. Roman looking at Patton, crushed or upset or something like that. It seems like Patton said something to him that was deeply upsetting. Perhaps a chiding or something that made him feel really guilty. The part of selfishness versus selflessness that has always bothered me is how Patton ripped into Roman for trying to make Thomas lie when Roman was really just trying to make a point on why only bad things excuse him from the wedding. I'm wondering and hoping that that's going to be brought up again and Roman is going to try to explain himself and explain that that's not what he meant. Or maybe Thomas is going to say that he wishes he'd gone to the callback instead and Roman agrees and Patton tells him off for thinking that way. Commenters, please be gentle on the Patton hate, by the way. Patton is a very important character to me, and I do not want to see the unsympathetic stuff. Just, please be gentle. Second to last shot, pretty much the entire reason I wanted to make this video. There's so much information packed into this little bit alone that, yeah. The Mario scene. Specifically, the top of the screen. First of all, boobs. This could hold some significance. Maybe the person from before was a homophobe, or maybe he's running to dodge the questions about being gay from someone who doesn't quite agree. I guess that's what being a homophobe is. Or maybe Remus is gonna make a guest appearance. Or maybe, and most likely, it's just because it's funny, and more subtle than 69420, or 24601, or 8675309, or 520. Second, coins equal sandwiches. Or subs, or hoagies, or whatever you want to call them. I've seen some people say that Thomas is running to the food bar to avoid conversation, but I would like to point out the fact that you don't get coins at the end of the level. You get them while you're going through it. Maybe this whole bit is going to be a metaphor for trying to make it through the whole wedding or reception. Or maybe he's the one who's trying to get to his ex to have a conversation with him. Although, we don't see any coins in this little half-second shot. So, maybe he is going to get all the coins at the end of the level. This next bit is my favorite part because I haven't seen anybody else talking about it and it really fires up my old brain box. World AU. In fanfics and fanworks, AU stands for Alternate Universe, which is a work that is separate from the main canon in one way or another. I get that it being a video game could be the reasoning for that, but I also really like the idea that after things go terribly at the wedding, the episode is going to be them looking back and imagining how things could have gone better. Whatever the case, I love that little detail. It's so clever. Whoever it was, Thomas and crew, give them my highest kudos, because that is magnifique, mwah, wonderful idea. Words are so hard. Did I finish my coffee? I have now. And then the last thing, time limited. This is a vague but ominous little clock. What about it is limited? Is it the reception and how much time he has until it ends? The amount of time that he has before someone finds him again and starts up a conversation, be it his ex, a homophobic friend, or Lee or Mary Lee? Is this shot actually Thomas on his way to the wedding and he's running late so he's rushing to get there on time? Something that I actually didn't notice until I was writing the script, the limited is written in purple. Thomas is anxious about this time being limited. There is a pressure to get to the end of the level ASAP. Final shot of the trailer, Thomas storming up to the camera and instead of his normal introduction going, "What the everybody?" Hope that looked cool. He is pissed. So, something must have happened at the wedding. That much we've already figured out. That could be all he's upset about, but I really think that there's something more than that going on. We've seen Thomas's frustration and stress building and building in the recent videos. Between the constant fear of being a bad person, the insecurity of what he's doing with his life, and the admittance of the fact that he has parts of himself that he doesn't like, maybe this is finally where we see him snap. That's why I love emotional distress. I was really thinking about this the other day, and it occurred to me. A lot of the things that have been going on recently, Roman has been involved with. And Roman was the one who sentenced him to go to the wedding instead of the callback. I wouldn't be all that surprised if Thomas's anger was directed at him. I mean, imagine it. Thomas comes back from the wedding, lonely and heartbroken, both from being single and from missing this giant opportunity to catch his dreams. He's grieving over this loss, one that he's statistically never going to get again, and he's moved past the denial stage and into the anger. He wants someone to blame, and who was the one that made him go to the wedding in the first place? Thomas might be mad at him for doing the literal opposite of his job. Perhaps the seat said it best in selfishness versus selflessness.
Everything has a purpose, and you're denying yours.
But we can't forget that this has to be a heavy hit for Roman, too. Not just for the callback, but for the romance. Roman's always been at the head of wooing and chasing after boys, so how far of a stretch is it really for someone to think that Roman, at the core, is the reason why Thomas is still single? How far of a stretch is it for Roman to think that of himself? And that's on top of his evil twin being revealed, and the ever elusive, mysterious realization he had in dealing with intrusive thoughts. No, I'm still not over it. I'm not going to be until we find out what it was. What does it all mean? And that is apparently all that I have for the analysis of this trailer. What do you folks think is going to happen? Do you think that things are going to get worse before they get better? Or do you think that everything is going to get resolved in this episode? Or do you think that we're going to be heading on the one-way train to Angstonville? Choo-choo! Subscribers, leave your comments down below. I would love to see what you guys think. Also, while you're down there, why don't you click that like button and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more, eh? And if you want to support me and help me make these videos, I would really appreciate if you could check out my Patreon or my Etsy or my Redbubble. Speaking of my Redbubble, you can get this new wonderful art of the crown, which is going to be my icon very soon, and there will be more to come. So keep your eye on my store, please, if you would like any merchandise. And if you ever want to hang out and chat ever, I stream on Twitch every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I would love to see some of you folks there. We can talk Sandersides or Ruby or whatever you'd like. I usually do art streams, but I do plan on branching out into games sometime soon. And if you subscribe over there for just like $5 a month, you get full-time access to this sweet-looking crown emoji. Before we go, of course, I have to give my special thanks to all of my wonderful, wonderful patrons, Chelsea, Hilde, Steven, and SortaMadDog. Thank you guys so much for helping make this video possible. And to thank all of you for watching. I really appreciate it. I will see you folks in the next video. Until then, see you around, my royal family!